And we are live with Brother Neil Frazier back again. Monday is not Monday unless we have a dose of what he brings, a dose of his personality, his insight, his knowledge that he so graciously shares with us to prepare us from the world that's being prepared for us, whether we like it or not. You're the best thing for us, brother. We have so many things out here in cyberspace to distract us, to titillate us, to seduce us, to keep us in a rut, to keep us blinded. And I hate to say the term wake up anymore, because there's another sadistic side of me that says if you want to stay asleep, you go ahead and stay asleep. But that at the last minute, I can't help but try to say a few things. But it hurts me how many of us don't wake up. And you're a person who brings a message to help us to do just that. And this particular topic is something for me that means something to me, because a lot of my shows have dealt with this. And the title of it is, what will happen to Black people when the dollar collapses? Do they even understand about an economic collapse, a financial breakdown? It happened in Greece many years ago when for a time they said you could only draw out $35 or the equivalent of that a day. And if there is an economic collapse, then what's going to happen to the supermarkets, the businesses, the restaurants, right? Where are we going to get our food? Can you grow food in concrete? Do you have land where you can, so there's so many different things, repercussions that we don't understand. And I know you're going to break it down for us, brother. I'm glad to have you back here again. And go on as long as you want, because we're loving every symbol that you share. So, brother, thank you. The floor is yours. I'm right here, and we're going to keep this thing working.
Okay. Well, yeah, Brother Lance, again, man, it's always great to connect with you on Monday. I want to greet everybody in the family in the chat room. And as you and I was just kicking it for a minute, the more I looked into this, it actually troubled me a little bit. Because as we were saying, it's almost like our people are in a fog or something. But it's a strange situation because, we have a lot of faith as people. But we can't see that we put our faith in the wrong things. And this is going to be our undoing, to the extent that, we keep saying, well, hopefully we'll wake up and we'll wake up. But then when you wake up, you still have to do something after you become aware of something. And so that's the aspect of it that's troubling to me. It's like if you got a lion coming through your gate and you're going to act like it's a pussycat, you're going to get eaten. Okay? Because the lion sees you as food. And it's not your cat that that you're used to having around the house. So yeah, it's a very interesting, necessary topic today. What will happen to Black people when the dollar collapses? So I have some research we're going to go over. We're going to talk about the history of what we have been through as a people, and how we have blueprints out here that we can look at and strategize to make sure we don't fall prey to this again. But one of the first blueprints that we can readily look at is Central America, and I'll tell you why. Whenever you look at that situation, we're taught, there are thousands of migrants at the border, and that they are running away from their country because of gangs and drugs. That's a lie. That is not just like when they talk about homelessness here, in America, they want to say that most of these people are drug addicts. That is not true, So we have this blueprint of why all of these people are coming to the borders of the United States. But when you look at all of these countries, Venezuela, the Central American, El Salvador, Honduras, all of the Central American countries and some of the South American countries, they were using fiat as their currency. But what they don't tell you is that the dollar collapsed in those countries, and it was runaway inflation. So imagine, like you were saying, what happened in Greece, and you see all these people out in the streets because they can't get no money out of the bank, ready to burn down everything. You can't blame them. Then we know that not only has this happened before in other countries, but it's right at our doorsteps. The difference is that they can continue to print money that has no intrinsic value, and that at some point, and we're going to cover this, the countries who we owe these debts to, if they overnight decide that they're not going to use the dollar as their foundational currency, then the American people are the ones that are going to suffer. One of the reasons for this is you can't redeem fiat. Okay, it has no intrinsic value. It's no more good than the piece of paper that it's printed on. Okay, they actually burnt it. They actually burn it. I think I was telling the story about when I was living in Washington, D.C. When I was coming home from work one day, and I passed by the big Mint office, because all of the buildings down, in D.C. are right down in the Northwest area. And so I saw this security guard out there, and I saw these guys getting off this big truck, almost like a Brinks truck, and pulling out all these bales of money. And I was like, wow, what they doing? So I asked him, I said, what are they going to do with all those bales of money? He said, oh, they're going to burn that. And I was like, wow, really? We have been duped, okay? We have been duped in the sense that we put our value in something has no more value than a piece of leaf on a tree. Okay, and we're gonna see why today. So in 1861, when black soldiers began to get paid, the first time that blacks received a salary, the soldiers, okay, they earned 63 cents on a dollar. Now, fast forward 160 years later, and I hope everybody's sitting down, black people make 67 cents on a dollar. Okay, that's 160 years later. That's only a 4 cents increase. And see, these are the types of games they play with us, where you don't understand what inflation is, or you don't see the potential. That's why I'm against cash payments for reparations, brother. Because overnight they could devalue that money, where they say you have $1 million and it may not even be worth $10,000. So if you take maybe 3% of it, and I don't ever think they're gonna pay this anyway, because by the time they do that, they are waiting for this collapse to happen so that they won't have to, so they'll have a justification for not paying black people reparations. Okay, I can see that game already in progress. But yeah, so no matter how much money you make or you think that you're making, this paper money, it's only increased 4 cents in 160 years because it has no intrinsic value in itself. Okay. And this is the reason why the dollar, even if it is 67 cents, you can compound this. And this is what other groups of people do. But because black folks don't trade with each other and do business with each other, I believe now from several sources, I've learned that the dollar is traded amongst black people, or circulated, as they like to say. Now it's between 6 and 12 hours. It used to be 1 or 2 days, We get paid on Friday, and then on Monday it's back in circulation.
That's terrible.
What? Yeah, now they're saying 6 to 12 hours, bro. And that's simply because we don't trade with each other, as opposed to, I believe the Asians is somewhere in 20 times before it, they trade with each other 20 times. I think the Jews 16 times. Like even Latinos are up, near like 12 times. East Indians up there like 15, 16, 6 hours, bro. And I'm talking days now, but 6 to 12 hours for us. So in other words, another black man like you, we don't trade with each other or, people wherever. Like our people don't trade and help to compound our money like they should be doing your platform.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah. So that is the major reason why, because we don't compound the fiat that we get. And that's the only way you can benefit from it if you compound it. So $1 million is not really $1 million in fiat value. So I did some research. The majority of black people that they're saying are millionaires or whatever, they still don't own any assets in terms of buildings, institutions with their names on it or whatever. The majority of their money is in the bank. It's still in fiat form. So let's talk about the difference, what an asset is. There are 3 types of assets. It's convertibility, which you can liquidate something real quick if you had to put your hands on fiat, because a lot of people, they're still going to trade in fiat. But, you're able to take an asset, anything of value. You know how we used to take things to the pawn shop or different places to liquidate something if you need it right away. Okay, then there's the physical existence, the tangibility of something. If you can't put your hand on something, this is another area where they'll do black people. Okay, if you can't physically put your hand on something that has some tangible value, then you really don't have an asset. Okay, the last type of asset is usage. Is it in demand? Do you own things that people need? Because if you don't, then it's gonna be just like you used to say, we give things its value, right? So if we determine that something has value, and people in other cultures do this. So just because the US government doesn't give it value, that doesn't necessarily have to keep us from giving something that we trade amongst ourselves. Oh, Yeshua was agreeing with me. Or either that or I hit it. Slow down. Yeah. So we can create our own value, right? Like you used to say all the time. But here again is we fail to recognize that we have this power. So in other words, we still put the faith of that in the hands of other people. Okay, so the other thing is we have failed to build or produce any products of value. So we don't manufacture or distribute anything of value because we're hooked on fiat and materialism. Okay, so and again, this is a serious game that they've got our people locked into, with clothes, cars,
Mm-hmm.
and whatever else, gold. Well, not so, a lot of it is fake gold from China. All this stuff around their neck and all this stuff we spend our money on that has no intrinsic value. But to define what an asset is, it's a useful or valuable thing, person, or quality, or a property owned by a person or a company regarded as having value and available to meet debt. So this is the importance of having tangible things of value. Now, I want to get into an area that's also a blueprint for our people. Okay, and again, this is why they don't talk about our real history, because it would reveal the types of games that have been played against our people throughout the history of the United States. Okay, and how they are setting us up for the domino effect again. So back in 1871, okay, the Freedmen's Bank was started. Okay, I'm sorry. Yeah, 1871, the Freedmen's Bank was started. Okay, and it was chartered by an act of the U.S. government and signed into law in 1865. I'm sorry, I got my dates wrong. 1861 is when the Freedmen's Bank was started. Okay. And so in 1865, it was signed into law by President Lincoln. And it was created to help the newly freed slaves at that time. So yeah, I'm within a couple of years, either 1861 or 1863, right after the Civil War. And at that time, there were 37 offices in 17 states that Black folks operated, including the District of Columbia. And you know, I always go back to something. They always talk about how intelligent we are now. Now, mind you, Black people wasn't going to universities and getting degrees during this time. So you have to look at the fact that, like Carter G. Woodson said, we've been miseducated, but at the same time, there is a form of financial illiteracy that exists amongst our people that we don't want to admit, okay? Because there's no way in hell you can tell me these people who couldn't read or write, okay, established, okay, let's look at what happened. So they had $57 million in deposits, Black people did. And in today's market, that would be somewhere close to $300 million. Okay. And there were 70,000 depositors. So don't tell me Black folks can't work together and do something. And now, again, we're talking about people that didn't have degrees and couldn't read or write. Okay. The majority of them. So don't tell me that Black people do not have the ability to establish our own banks and our own institutions. Okay. Another thing that happened, 5 weeks after the creation of the bank, President Abraham Lincoln was assassinated. So, you know, if you don't see that people are working against you, and even the people that try to help you, a president of the United States, they assassinated for trying to help you, then what is it going to take to make you wake the hell up? Black people, we have no friends. We are our only hope. If you don't want to do it, please teach our children something different. We can no longer put faith, okay, blind faith, into people that have shown you for hundreds of years, okay, that they will not help you in any way to have financial solvency. Okay, this is a fact, and we see the history of this. Okay, so what happened to the Freedmen's Bank? So in 1873, they had what they call the panic. Okay, it was a financial crisis. Okay, that caused the economic depression in Europe and in America. Okay, and it lasted from 1873 to 1877. As a result of this, so we know the old saying, if America has a cold, we have the flu. Okay, so in 1874, as a result of the aftermath of the 1873 panic, the Freedmen Bank closed, leaving many depositors in financial ruin. Okay. They called in Frederick Douglass. They installed him as the bank's new director in an attempt to save the bank before it crashed due to runaway inflation. Now, that's what I was explaining in the beginning, the game that they can play with this fiat. They can cause runaway inflation, and $1 million you have today may only be worth $10,000 tomorrow. That is, not only is it a possibility, it has been done to our people before. Okay, so we have to take a real hard look at why they have us hooked on this fiat and why our kids are throwing this money up in the air like it's some kind of god or gold that has some kind of value. We're in a sad situation because we have not adjusted properly. Okay, so what happened? The closure left over 61,000 depositors. This is what they did to our people. This was a deliberate act, by the way. And depositors without any money and at a loss of $3 million, which in today's market is equivalent to $100 million. Now, again, these are things that can be done, all right, to you because we're not paying attention to the things that we need to be paying attention to rather than just watching celebrities. Because the interesting thing too, the majority of those celebrities don't own any buildings, don't own any assets. So when, not if, but when this collapse happens, where are we going to migrate to? We don't have a connection with the motherland. They have divided you and made you think that Africans are our enemy. And the only reason that African people think that way is because they keep them dumbed down too. Okay, I'm talking about modern day Africa.
Yes.
Okay, they keep them dumbed down and they tell them lies about us here. And then they tell us lies here about them. But when you look at all other cultures, they're connected to a homeland. Now, yeah, this is true. This is our homeland too, okay? Wherever there is a continent where people live, the original peoples of that continent were Black people, okay? I'm not talking about that. I'm talking about how they have us divided, okay? Our origin, okay, is the motherland. And they have us so divided with our own people that we can't even see how when they cut us off here, okay, that where are we going to migrate to? Most of us are not going to be able to leave America. Lance, you got out just in time, brother. Because, boy, from the stuff I've been researching, man, I don't get it why our people are the only ones that's not planning. And again, California is a litmus test for the country. What happens here first, then it spreads out. Other people become aware of it, years later. But all the banks here are closing, bro. I don't know if you know that, but
I'm hearing about that.
Yes,
Yeah,
the
I'm
majority
hearing about that
of the
directly.
banks here, Wells Fargo, Bank of America, we have one. There used to be at least 10 of them that I can go to in this area. It's only 3 open now. Same thing with Wells Fargo. They're temporarily closed wherever you go. The only banks that's still operating are the banks that are backed out of New York. Citibank, US Bank. But even them, if you deposit a check, you got to wait 3 days. If you only have $100 available to you, 10%, and we'll talk about that. and then the bank flips 90% of your money, because once you deposit money, that money no longer legally belongs to you, it belongs to the bank. And most people don't know this. This is how they keep Black people in a perpetual motion where we don't get any value from anything. Even if you put hundreds of thousands of dollars in the bank, it's not yours. So this is why, let's talk about commodity money versus fiat money. And this is why you have been taught to worship fiat right here. So back before we had, before 1971, and we'll go back into that, you were issued a silver certificate, or like a, well, they use promissory notes now, which is basically fiat too. But it had the same concept, where that promissory note was in effect some form of money. So they had a silver certificate of $1 to match every dollar that was in circulation. So the $1 bill during that time was equivalent to one silver dollar. So the value was in the silver, not the paper.
Right. I had one. I had one of those silver.
Yeah, me too.
Yeah.
You know, back in the day, we used to keep those.
And remember,
our people used to have them.
Remember the penny? I think it was 1942. It was like a steel penny or some kind of. It didn't look copper, wasn't brown. It was like some kind of, because of the war and copper being like not hard to get to, but they used something else. I forgot what it was. Yeah. I remember that. These oddities. Yeah. And it had more value.
People understood back during that time. You know, that's why I'm finding it hard, brother, to continue to call people intelligent that are just out here talking, because we're in a serious situation, man. There should be an alarm assignment now.
Exactly. I just want to say,
have classes for our children right now, teaching them.
Let me say one more thing. We had an uncle. He wasn't a blood uncle. He was like an adopted uncle.
Okay.
And his name was, we used to call him Uncle Charlie, but I'll say his name. He's not with us anymore. Charles Tennyson, right?
Okay.
And he was an older man. And I would say when I was about 7 or 8, he had to be in his 80s, but he was well preserved. And he had a barrel, a wooden barrel that he always threw change in. And he had one. Yeah. He always threw pennies, nickels, dimes, quarters, dollars, sometime, whatever change he came back with, he threw it in there. We weren't his blood family, but we always went over there. And he'd always tell me, he had this little cup. He said, go over there and take some change. I can scoop out just one scoop to give me, right? I look to see where more quarters were and more nickels were, because I'm trying to scoop out more money, right?
You're trying to get to the quarters.
Exactly. I wasn't dumb, you know. Come to find out, his blood family, you know, who was always there with him, but he adopted us like that. But Uncle Charlie. Come to find out, he had a room with about 25 of these barrels filled up with change.
Wow. A
whole room that was nothing but barrels. So you can just walk through there. These are these old-fashioned wooden barrels that had the metal reinforcement around it and was real tall. Yeah. He just kept the one he was filling up out front in the living room.
Wow.
But the rest of them were in there. It was a whole thing. He left that. And he had money. He had lots of money. Like he did have money in the bank, but he had that change right there. They found some under the mattress, bills and stuff. This guy was loaded. And his whole life, that was his mentality. He went on trips when he was younger. He kept his clothes up enough. He wasn't spending, and he didn't have a car. This is Manhattan. You don't really need a car, right?
Oh, yeah,
exactly, right? So they found out, I don't know, it was a lot of money, man. It was a lot of money.
Wow.
But the mentality, that's why I said this, the mentality of those of us who would save, and it wasn't so much that you think, well, I'm just going to save a few pennies, but I'm going to get $1 million or $10 million. It wasn't so much that, except that the mentality was you did not waste. It's the mentality. Exactly. So he was not out there blowing money and he brought it and he didn't touch it. So whatever he had coming to him or whatever, that was the next round. He would get the basics. I don't know what he treated himself to. He had a nice apartment, everything, but he did not waste. Some of us, like the 6 to 12 hours thing with black people, as soon as we get money in our hand, even when it's bill money, we got to go out there and we got to spend it. And then we got to spend it with somebody else, and they're going to circulate that the 12 to 15 to 25 times that other people do to benefit. That's why black businesses can't exist.
Chinese people are very good at that, bro. They'll take something and they'll compound it 100 times.
But you know what? I'm learning to be Chinese if that's the case. I mean,
Me too.
I'm proud of myself.
Right, bro.
Yeah,
but
because
that piggy bank concept, we don't even have that with our children anymore.
No.
All of us used to have piggy banks.
Exactly.
Putting change in, because it teaches you a principle.
Right.
But so we have to take responsibility for this. This is a failure, okay, of black people. We can no longer put this on other people. Again, the little fiat that we are given, if we would compound it with other black people, it would have more value. But they have taught you, oh, I don't want to give that nigga nothing because I don't want him to have a new car. And and we have taught the children the same thing. And this is why it's going to be so devastating to us when this happens, because we don't have any place to migrate to. Okay. So, yeah, brother, that brought back some memories to me as well. You know, when black folks were frugal, you know, they understood what it meant, you know, to put a little something aside for a rainy day, you know. So the value was in the silver. It wasn't in the paper. So commodity paper is also food, okay, because people going to be hungry. They're going to need to eat. Like we were saying, when the grocery stores, not if, when they shut down, where are you going to get your food from? This is why, too, when you own land and you have livestock, the land has more value because of the livestock. But black people don't like cows. They don't like, you know, anything. We have been so separated from nature, brother. This is what people don't understand as well. There were more black farmers in America than anything else or anybody else. Okay, when we had real value that was taken from us. Okay. But anything that can be traded is commodity-backed money. Just like our people back in the day used to use the barter system, right? You know, my neighbor got some sugar, I got some flour. My mom and them, they never spent no money nowhere. They traded with the neighbors, and that's how our communities thrived during that time. They wasn't worried about who had more money than the other person. So thousands of years ago, an example is the shekel, right, which is a weight of barley, represented, you know, some form of money. So there were various, but again, like we were saying, that it was the people that created the value of the shekel, okay, which was a weight of barley. So they created that because they knew and comprehended that, okay, if I put value in something and my neighbor value it and their neighbor value it, then we have something going on. And this is the main reason why we have been divided, not just for social reasons, but mainly for economic reasons. So that's what commodity money is. It's something that can be traded, you know, and it has value in terms of all the things that we use. As opposed to fiat is something that the government declares as legal tender. But we know this is one of the games these politicians make. They play this game where they can give something, they can say, oh, well, the debt ceiling, we need to raise the debt ceiling or blah, 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 or we need to bring it down, or blah, blah, blah. But at the same time, they are the ones that give this tender any type of value. It doesn't have any value in itself. So how is money created? So money is created by central banks around the world, not the banks you go into. They're private banks, but the central banks, like our Federal Reserve, holds all the power, and they are not connected with our own government, or any government for that matter. They can print as much money as they want. That's why they can burn it. Okay, but at the same time, they can control through runaway inflation the value of that same money that our children are throwing up in the air. Okay, so there are three ways that they create money: through private banks. So it only takes 3 cents to create a $10 note. So that other $9.97 is profit, which they have created out of thin air. But you, the American people, are transferred the debt of that. Okay, so this term seniorage that the IRS creates for tax revenue gives them the right to take this $9.97 as profit. Okay, so the consequences of money is the more of it in circulation, the less it's worth. Okay, so 3.8% of private banks, okay, use this system. Okay, and it's only 3% of this fiat, believe it or not, that's in actual circulation. The rest of it, 97% of it, is in digital form in these private banks that are just created out of nothing. So they have this term called double indemnity, I think it's called. Indemnity. I'm not sure if that's the right term, but what it means, means is that they make, let's say you're trying to get a mortgage for a house. They create $500,000 out of thin air. Then they loan you the money and create a debt that you owe to them for $500,000, but there was never $500,000 in the beginning. It's just digital. This is how they're going to jam up black folks, bro. I'm telling you right now. This is how they are going to jam us up. And so I believe on one of the videos, I was saying how this guy took this bank to court, okay, and he won the case because they had to admit that, okay, there was no money. This was something we created. Okay, so no, there was no money. And that's how he won, you know, the bank president had to admit that. And so, again, this should sound the alarm for our people. What you have, this fiat money that you love so much, when it crashes, you're going to be in worse shape than our people have ever been in, even in slavery. And now I understand, and I say this all the time, I didn't understand this before. I always tried to figure this out. Decades ago, when I heard Dr. Claude Anderson say, and Dr. George Frazier say that black folks are going to be back in slavery, our children are going to be in slavery. This is what he means, because we're going to see as we go a little further down how this situation is going to play out. Because I know many people are saying, well, okay, so how is this going to happen? Good question. First, let's start with the Great Reset, okay? What they call assets, you always have to look at the fair market value of it. But throughout our history, our economic history in this country, it's always decreased, or what they call de-dollarization, okay? Now, how the U.S. became the world currency is that it began by being backed by gold. Okay, that's how That's how, because the U.S., I know you remember the old Fort Knox, and the U.S.,
Yes.
all of the gold that they had taken mainly from the motherland and other places, they brought here, and there was another place in Europe, but they brought most of the money in Fort Knox. They had the gold. They had all the gold. So, you know, like gangsters do, or real gangsters. I'm talking about real economic. I ain't talking about these
Yes. Right.
rats
Right.
that they got out here,
Oh,
and all this nonsense. I'm talking
brother, I'm
about,
gonna wait for 1 second. I'm up
yeah.
about 2 minutes. Restroom. Okay, be right back.
Okay, bro.
Mhm.
These economic hitmen. Okay, so um, on August 15th in 1971, they like to say, they like to use this term, a day that will live in infamy. This is a day that's going to live in infamy for our country. Okay, because on this day, August 15th, 1971, this is the most critical day in the history of the United States when it comes to what we know today as fiat. The Nixon administration removed gold as the standard backing the fiat. Okay, well, at the time, backing money. But in 1944, the Bretton Woods Agreement, okay, this is when they first came up with this scheme. Okay, so let's look at today the leading gold producing countries. And we're going to talk about what this means, because the Chinese yuan or yuan is backed by gold. Okay. And they are positioning themselves, okay, to replace the US as the world reserve currency. Okay, so the top 4 countries or 5 countries that produce gold today, number 1 is China. Okay, number 2 is Australia. Number 3 is Russia. Number 4 is India, and number 5 is South America. I mean South Africa. So all of these forms of currency in these countries are backed by gold. See, and this is something the American people are being duped about. Okay, but there are people, mainly the wealthy people of America, that have long ago put their money in offshore banks and other investments in other places. Okay, so I used to wonder why Asians and these East Indian people, who most of the ones I see are darker than me, why they had such a pompous attitude towards black people. And I used to think to myself, okay, what makes these people think that they are better than black folks? What is it? And I found the reason why. Because they know that they are one of the top 5 producing countries of gold. And they know that the United States and these politicians are lying to the people about the actual financial status of the United States. And see, this is why they have this attitude towards us, because they know black people don't have any real assets, and that they are going to be the ones that are going to be our new oppressors, okay, and our children's oppressors. But we don't see this. Okay, and this is because I used to be baffled. What the hell make these people think that they're so much better than black folks? And they're coming to America with this attitude. And now I know why. Because they know something you don't know. Their country's money, real money, is backed by gold, where you're dealing with paper. Okay, this is what you're dealing with that has somebody's face on it and some symbols and a serial number on it so they can track it. Okay, so that was the beginning of the reset. But now we fast forward to within the last 50 years. Last 50 years or so. Now we see that China was actually a third world economic country. Okay. There was a time not long ago when the Chinese was very concerned about feeding their people, and billions of people still do today, where they were limiting how many children people can have. And they were in a serious economic situation. Okay. So, but what happened? Here's another thing. That's why I don't listen to that crap about patriotism and all of that. There's no such thing. Okay. They tell the American people that in order to keep you duped. But what our governments have actually done, I mean, what our the major corporations in America did, over 130 U.S. corporations built plants in China to mass produce cheap goods and products. Now, why was that? Okay, because in order for them to do that here, they would have to cut into their profit. Okay. And America is built on greed. Okay. From our government and corporations. So on the one hand, they got you thinking, oh, well, you should be patriotic and all of this and that, when they have sold us out all the way since Tricky Dick. Okay. They have been sold us out. They have all these plants in China. Okay, you can Google it if you don't believe it. They are mass producing. So you think, well, the Chinese is mass producing all these cheap goods and products. No, it's the U.S. plants that are over there working with China. So they tell you all this stuff about trade war and all. This is a bunch of nonsense, okay? Our people have got to wake up to what's really going on, because we're going to get crushed, okay? A lot of us are not going to make it. Just plain talk, okay? You know, we spend a lot of our time, which we should, okay, dealing with metaphysical stuff, and, you know, celebrities and all this stuff. But I'm talking about right here. Okay. There are three planes of existence: physical, mental, and spiritual. And if you ignore any one of them, okay, yeah, we may be living in a matrix, but we still have to operate in that matrix, and you still have live physical consequences, okay, in this realm. So if you want to live in the metaphysical realm, that's fine. But I guarantee you, you're going to have to sleep in a bed and wake up every day. Unless you're Lance, maybe you can stay up for 2 or 3 days. But the average person.
Let me bring to your attention. We have the crew here in the chat room who it's not about color. Don't make it about color. It's a here we have one.
About color.
Well, yeah, I'm just gonna bring that to your attention because you always had him flying in from somewhere else and want to say, here we have some guy here. I don't even know if that's his real avatar. Looks kind of goofy to me, but he says, don't make it about color when it's really about status and money. You think the rich white peeps and blacks like the boule care about color? No, they only sow green. Huh? And then we have another one here, I think, Standing Bear. Why black people instead of just people? Why the color coding? Listen, when it's us suffering, nobody gives a damn. This is a channel that focuses on us where other people do not care about us. When we start to get wise and focus on us and uplifting ourselves, it's a problem. But when Chinese people support Chinese people and Jewish people support Jewish people, right? Indian people support Indian people. It's okay. As long as we're at the bottom and pushing up and building everything for everybody and getting nothing for it, it's okay. So when we get hip to the game and pull ourselves out the system and tell it for what it really is, why black people instead of just people? You're not looking to benefit us. We got to hip our own self because your schools never taught us how to be independent. It only taught us how to be consumers and buyers and brainwashed against our own self. So don't come here with that foolishness.
That comment got you fired up, huh?
Oh, yeah. Oh, yeah.
But you're right.
Let them know. Let them know. And I'm going to say it. I'm putting my business out there. I'm in Africa right now. These people, go back to Africa. Well, I'm here and I'm living like a king.
Yes.
And I don't have no stress. Because I ain't got to see y'all no more. So if color doesn't matter, how come I feel so much better around people who look like me? And all of this stuff, I ain't got to worry about the guns and the mass shootings and the people, the cops pulling me over and that stuff. So I'm in heaven on earth, and I'm here to encourage people as much as they can that wicked place to soak with our blood, the soil is soak with our blood over there. I have no problem with the land. It's the system that exploits the people. Yeah. And you ain't got a problem with it. See, that's these people don't got a problem with it. And when we get hit and talk to our own people with a little wisdom, we're targeted. We're focused on, and they want to harass us. No, I'm gonna keep on talking. Don't come here with that foolishness. That old thing ain't gonna work. We love ourselves here. We're not. We don't hate nobody, but we're turning the love that we so foolishly gave to you and your system to be patriotic, and we're Americans. Look, before 911, right? 910, I wasn't American. 912, I was American because you want me on the front line of your war. That manipulation has got to stop. We already know what time it is. Go ahead, Brother Neil.
Oh, yeah. No, I mean, actually, I'm glad that that comment came through. Because, see, just like you said.
Brother, I'm sorry to cut you. I'm going to say one more thing before his ass is blocked. He said, take your people back to Africa then. Let the Dahome get you again, whatever that means. Well, when you say take your people back to Africa again, well, guess what? That's what we're encouraging because ain't no too many missiles pointed over on this side. Nobody likes you anymore. China, Russia, India, Iran, the BRICS nation, to hell with NATO. We ain't fighting up under you no more. You got blood on your hands, deal with it. And when you say take your people back to Africa, they have a choice because they built that place that you enjoy called America. And if you say take our people back to Africa, then stay your asses from over here trying to steal the minerals. See ya.
See, that is an ignorant person to me. And see, unfortunately, again, I've started talking to, more of the European people that I know because Lance, you have given me a formal spotlight. So when I talk to them now, they're starting to, see things a little differently. Mm-hmm. And so I had one friend to say to me, he said, well, Neil, he said, they have duped white people as well. And see, this is what they're doing that's so unfair to the young European children that's growing up. And this is why they are hiding our history, because you can't heal something when you don't have a proper diagnosis. So if I'm just giving you a part of what's wrong with you and we heal that, well, you still got 3/4 of your body still sick. But this is a prime example of the type of ignorance that's directed towards our people, because they don't, a lot of them, they don't understand, they don't see it. And the reason they don't see it is because they use emotionalism against them too, mainly through hate. What they say is, well, we don't want Black people to take away what we have. I didn't say, these are European scholars that are saying this, not Neil Frazier or LANCESCURV. But as you said correctly, whenever we deal with our situation, then it either has to be some kind of hate, go back to, and by the way, this is our land too, in case you didn't know. I guess this is an ignorant person that don't know history.
Right.
You know, by his, because really, when I hear comments like that, that lets me know that this is a caterpillar person. That they only live by narratives that people tell them, and then they get them emotionally involved against. But these are the types of things that are gonna ratchet up, just like they always have throughout our history. When white people get mad when we start to organize, because we have seen from our history, when black people organize and boycott, things happen. Okay, but
that's right.
A lot of them, they want us to stay in the condition we're in. And this is mainly at the subconscious level. A lot of them don't even know why they feel this way. But as you correctly said, when Jewish people get together and the United States is sending billions of dollars to Israel now. Okay, so that's a prime example. Or to Ukraine. Nobody sees anything wrong with that. But yet they tell Africa, we'll give you $40 million if you let us put this filth in your country. No, you see, because we are the first primordial seed, and we carry within us the Me'atin laws of truth, righteousness, and justice. And these are the things that they cannot stand in black. Because to be honest with you, even with all the stuff, people, they be talking about crime with black kids and all this and that. Even with all of that, okay, there is still a thread that runs through black people that we know that this is why we're able to be duped so strongly, is because when you're a righteous seed and you're dealing with unrighteous seeds, they're going to deceive you and manipulate you, because that's the only way they can keep you in your condition. Just like Dr. Amos Wilson used to always say, in order for 8 to 10% of the people in the world to control 90% of the people in the world, hear me good, then by necessity, you have to have 30 to 40% of that 90% that's part of that system that's oppressing our people. You have to have that. There is no way you 10% of the world population, or really 8%, can do that. With intimidation, fear, the old hate Ku Klux Klan tactics. And then now they have the cyberbullying, like people can come on and make these asinine comments. That kind of shit don't bother me at all, brother.
I bullied them right on back.
Yeah, exactly. Because you say what you want all day long. Black folks need to organize right now, because these other Asian people, these other people that you mentioned, nobody gets angry at them when they're planning their stuff and talking about their conditions. So you say go back to Africa, you need to go back to Europe. Because when Christopher Columbus and them was lost and starving, okay, on the oceans of the world, and the Creator had mercy on them, and they stumbled across our people who fed them, okay, and taught them how to grow crops and harvest, they ended up slaughtering them and raping all their women. How about that? So why don't you go back to that? Okay. But there's no time to play around now. Our people have to look the devil in the face, okay? And we have to say no more. And I remember a song my mom and those used to sing all the time. I was a little boy. I was like, what do they mean by that? Satan, we're going to tear your kingdom down. You've been building your kingdom all over this world. Satan, we're going to tear your kingdom down. And the older you get, a lot of the wisdom our people had, we didn't know. We thought they was just stupid and dumb, because that's what them folks taught us. Okay? No, they were the wisest people that ever walked the earth.
Yes, indeed.
But, again, they force us to put our eyes on what they worship. Okay? So, yeah, thank you for your comment. I don't know if it was a man or a woman, but it don't matter, really. Yeah, man, them people crazy, bro.
Maybe they don't even know.
Huh?
I said maybe they
You
don't even
know.
know.
And then again, too, you're hiding. So if I'm going to confront someone, I'm not going to, I'm not going to hide from them. I'm going to deal with them face to face, or, if I'm wrong, I'm wrong. Okay. But you can type something in, an asinine statement, and you don't have to even face anybody. So that says a lot about you, because if you were a man or woman, you'd come on the show, or you'd make yourself known, not just 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, okay, at whatever. And then we can talk like
That's right.
do. So back to the presentation. So like I said, this is, oh yeah, I'm glad. Thank you, Creatrix. See, this is the type of thing that has always existed throughout our history here. Because as I said, 5 weeks after Lincoln signed that into law, they killed him. Okay. For establishing the Freedmen's Bank. Okay. And then he established what they call the Greenback. Okay. And it went bankrupt too. So there was $3 million that black folks couldn't get their money. Okay. Which is equivalent to $100 million today. So let's look at today. I recently heard a story that there's child labor abuse in Africa, in Ghana. They had, U.S. corporations was using children as young as 6 years old in Africa to cultivate cocoa leaves for chocolate. Okay.
That's right.
So we're not talking about something that happened we're talking about the same playbook they're using now. So this is just in Ghana. Africa has what, 54 countries? Imagine.
Yeah.
Imagine if you went throughout each country and discovered what they're doing. So we're not talking about the past. You've always done this. You're continuing to do it. And the cat is out the bag. So you can get angry all you want. But what the Chinese did so effectively is what I like to call copy and paste. Okay. They copied everything that American people like, all the material thing and a lot. Bruh, I know you know this being from New York, because you probably seen this way before any of us seen it. But they would have products that we knew wasn't real, but it looked so much like the real thing.
They buy them.
It didn't matter. Black folks they would even take little slogans that black people like and put them on t-shirts, put them on hats, put them on all kind of stuff.
Yep.
Okay. So they studied us too and exploited. And you can't really be angry at them. Really, you can't. Because again, we have over 130 US plants that are also benefiting off the American people being duped, and primarily off of black people, who are the biggest consumers of this garbage. Okay, are the ones that are paying the price for this. Okay, so this another thing is, this is why you are kept in debt. Now, if the U.S. population paid off all of their debt today, the U.S. dollar would collapse in less than 24 hours.
Wow.
Yeah. This is why they keep you in debt. Okay. So let's look at the history of the world's reserve currency, which is now the U.S. dollar. Okay. So since 1450, there has only been 6 world reserve currency periods. Portugal was the first nation to have have the world currency from 1450 to 1530, which was the age of exploration or world trade, when they started going to the motherland, the Caribbean, and other places, and taking all the resources. Portugal was the first one to have. They were using Portuguese currency as the world currency. And then we fast forward to the second world reserve currency was Spain in 1530 to 1640, which is called the Iberian Union. And they were partnered with Portugal, and they used the Spanish silver. So they were able to use this to trade with other people. And again, they established this as having intrinsic value. This is what I was talking about in the beginning, that we are the ones that give value to. So let's just say you get 500,000. I remember something Dr. John Henry Clark said. He said, if you get 1 billion people to do something, even if it was wrong, it would have a major impact on the world, a massive impact. Okay, so, and these are simple solutions, brother. But again, because we cannot trade with each other, we have put ourselves in a hole that we can't come out of. Some of us are going to. The majority of us, I hate to say this, bro. They're like we were talking, is not gonna make it. It's just, right. They're not gonna make it. Okay, so if you get, let's say, 100,000 black people around the country, and we choose a pair of socks and put, LANCESCURV on it, or put anything on it, because our people are buying these expensive stuff with other people's names on it, and then we give value to it, so everybody want to have Gucci because our people value Gucci. So why can't we take something black and value that and then build it up? I remember when FUBU first came.
Yes. Right, from Queens.
From Queens, right?
Yep.
And I remember him saying, well, I just learned from my people, I guess his parents or whoever, that I could put my name on something.
That's right.
And
that's right.
If it's, okay, so if it's the same things, type of clothing that we wear or like, you put your name on it, then it's the average black person, first thing they say, oh, that nigga think he's something because he got his name on some clothes.
Right, right.
This is the type of thinking that is killing our people. So rather than me wanting to help you, another black person have their name on something that we all can buy and then build some kind of company, I'd rather not support you. I'd rather let my money circulate for 6 hours and then give it back to the people that are keeping you in a hellhole. And see, this is why people don't have no respect for us, brother.
That's right.
Even these people, you see these people that come to this country, I don't care where they come from. All of them have the same attitude towards black folks. But this is why. Because they can put their name on something, or they can make something have some kind of value, and then you goddamn go out and buy it and make it true.
Yes. Yes.
It's sick. I get sick when I think about this stuff, bro. So
what I've noticed, even in New York City, back in the even from the 80s, 90s, and coming possibly even now. I remember in the 80s, it was I'm getting older, right? 1984. And I worked at a company. Well, not a company, it was a boutique.
Okay.
Named Bijan Paksad.
Okay.
He was Iranian, but he used to say he was from Syria. And it was on 5th Avenue and 55th Street, down the block, 2 blocks down from Trump Tower.
You said 84?
Yeah, back in 84. Yeah, he's passed
in New York. I was living in Jamaica, Queens during that time.
Okay, yeah, me too. I was right there.
Yeah.
That's I know you from somewhere. We bumped heads in a good way, but he had this boutique. His clothes were ugly.
Wow.
But he had a name, and because he was on 5th Avenue and his ego was through the roof, not that you have to have an ego to the roof, but I'm just saying he knew. I'm not gonna say believe, but he would sell his stuff, and because these white guys, the Texas oil dudes, I met George Benson there. You had to have an appointment to shop in his store.
What?
So sometimes all day long, it might be one person, but the one person was so filthy, not rich, but wealthy. Rich ain't nothing. Wealth is the thing.
Yeah.
He'd take his time and hold their hand, not literally, and walk them through the boutique. There's a second floor that had this well-decorated room, and all the heads of state that been there, Adnan Khashoggi, all the rich, wealthy people been there. So you get catered to. You get catered to when you're there. Your sound, brother, I think you're muted. You're muted, brother. Yeah, you're muted. Hit your phone. Okay, let me see. Yeah, I got you now.
Okay.
So it built up a persona because he catered to the wealthy, and these suits were ugly, narrow shoulders and all, yeah. And this is a little short guy with a short man's complex.
Oh, wow.
And our capacity of working there because we were well built at the time and had a certain look. We stood around in tuxedos and just opened the door the 1 to 2 times during the day. And we stood not in the window, but the steps right there. People would come and just stare at us. The money they were paying us for that, but you had to have a certain look. You had to have a certain demeanor. You had to know how to communicate. But you couldn't just open the door for anybody. They would tell you that day what time they're coming, and it was so exclusive, right? But what I'm saying now, he was on all the talk shows. He was a high-end guy that, for some reason, because he took care and attention to what he did, right? These white folks and people all over believed in the illusion that he was putting out there. You see what I mean? Because it's an illusion. And here we go.
Yeah.
Just right on the same street, right there on Fifth Avenue. You had a lot of Africans who were selling knockoff bags. Okay. Why I say Africans? Because I found out that in China, there's a whole, and I don't know what part of China, but it was a black woman who lived in China, and she was a heart specialist and taught medical Chinese or medical English to the Chinese students. She was brilliant, right? So she was telling me what was really going on out there in China. See, I talked to a lot of people just a long time ago when I was talking to her, and she told me there are whole entire sections, like cities, where you have Nigerians and different Africans that create the knockoff bags there. They manufacture it there. Somehow, some way they have the connection to bringing it in the country. And they have the foot soldiers in the street that are out there, and they have it laid out on the blanket. Yeah, and when somebody comes, they might have a lookout like they're selling drugs. They blow the whistle, and they grab the blanket and pick it up off the street and run with it and get away. So what I'm saying is that a lot of the black people who came through Fifth Avenue, who saw the knockoff bags, the knockoff hats, the knockoff purses, they were so in love with the name of the designer that it looked so real, and they knew that it was not real, and they valued it and still spent the money for it, something that's a knockoff because you believe in this name and you want to have this illusion of what this thing. This is sick, but you get a brother who does something good, and if he tries to sell it himself, you don't support it. But when the other man picks up the brother's stuff and sells it and don't tell you that it's one of you, he said, you buy it. This is crazy.
This
is crazy how our minds are. And I've seen this for decades. I'm telling you, man. Go ahead. I'm sorry, man. I'm a little heated.
I like that word illusion, because that's all it is. A delusion, illusion. It's insane how, just like today, sometimes I like to look at some of the videos with the young people in them. Bruh, they be like, well, they see a person, they judge them strictly off of the clothes they are wearing.
That's sick.
Our young women and a lot of our young men, they don't even get to know the person's personality. They don't get to know anything about this person. Okay. And I want to tell a true story about, now that we're talking about this subject, that'll bring this to light. Why you can never judge. And this is another major issue that Black people have. But this is a true story. When I was living in Atlanta, there was a young black dude that worked at an exclusive car dealership that sold Rolls Royces, right? Luxury high-end vehicles. And so one day, this old lady, I guess with gray hair, and she looked like she was about 90 years old or whatever, she walked into the place. And she was standing around looking at the cars for about, so her chauffeur had brought her there, but they didn't know that. So she also had like, I guess bodyguards or something outside. She was like, no, don't come in, don't come in. So long story short, they ignored her for almost an hour. So finally, this is a true story, Lance. And people from Atlanta or from Georgia may remember this story. This guy, this young black guy that was working there, he went up, he said, well, miss, I've seen you been in here for a while. Has anyone spoken to you about? And she said, no. She said, but what's your name? And he told her, and she said, hold on for a minute. She went in her purse and she gave him a card. Okay. And she said, I want you. She said, yeah, I'm interested in more than one of the vehicles. And so he was looking like, okay. She said, I want you in a couple of days, I'll be back to my country. I want you to call me on this number. The young, fast forward 2-3 days later, he called the number because, you know, big commission for selling a Rolls Royce, let alone two Rolls. So he calls her. Somebody picked up like an official, government official, and was like, well, the Duchess is not available, but we'll take all of your information. And he was like, Duchess of what? And so she was the Duchess of something. I don't remember exactly, York or whatever it was. That didn't matter. You're talking about someone that's worth almost $1 trillion. Okay. So
never know.
What she did is, now that wasn't the only dealership. They had several of them around the country. She bought all of them, made the young black guy who paid attention to her the owner. And now the owners of his former bosses were now his employees. And this young black guy became a multi-billionaire overnight. And this is a true story. And and so this is the mistake our people make. Like, it doesn't matter what that person looks like. You don't know who that person is, or more importantly, what they can do to help further your purpose or assignment in life. But they have indoctrinated our people so much with this fiat until the first thing we do is judge each other off of what clothes, which, by the way, none of us created any of these clothes. We don't have any machines that we used to, because our parents used to sew our clothes and on sewing machines.
Exactly.
So, you know, it's just a sad situation all the way around, brother. But the thing is we have to keep opening the eyes of our people, because they have a lot of narratives coming at them, just like the individual that you were talking about earlier. So after Spain, and then in 1640 to 1720, the Dutch East Indian Company, okay, which basically produced spices, became the world. And see, this is another reason why these people from East India who are blacker than me have this attitude. And these are the things our people don't know. They just think, oh, these people come here and they don't like black Americans. No, because they know what position they have you in, that they are in bed with your oppressors, always have been, way back here when the Dutch East Indian Company, okay, was the world's reserve currency. But because we don't know history and what these people have done to our people throughout history, then we keep putting blind faith into their institutions. And now the institutions of these other people that are coming here. And then from 1720 to 1815, there were massive debts were created. So France became the world reserve currency, their currency, during this period, from 1720 to 1815, almost 100 years, because World War I, okay, overextended the financial situation during that time. And so and then the Napoleon Wars also kind of bankrupt a lot of the financial institutions there. So then after 1815, in 1815, Great Britain, from 1815 to 1920, during the Industrial Revolution, okay, or what we know as the Industrial Revolution, they became the reserve currency in the world. And then fast forward to today, from 1921 to today, we have the United States. Okay. So when Tricky Dick Nixon, when they went behind the backs of the American people and made this diabolical plan with China in 1971 on August 15, that's when everything changed. Like I said, that was a day that will go down in infamy, because that was the day that the United States government sold out its people. And so, and then in 1944, it became official, the currency, because of the Bretton Woods Agreement. And the U.S. had all the gold, as I was saying earlier, prior to that. Also from apartheid, you know, they were able to, working with the South African government at that time, they were able to, you know, be in lockstep to keep people in this position. Okay, so let's give the definition of world currency. World currency is the currency that is held in significant quantities by governments. So there are other governments around the world that have the US dollar that they use as reserve currency. And the institutions as a means of international payment, foreign exchange, reserves and investment, and liquidity. Liquidity.
Yeah.
That's it, right? Liquidity. Sometimes words trip me up. I have to look at them twice. But here's the thing. Now we rely on China for everything. And like you were saying, COVID was a dry run. They wanted to see, you know, how things played out. And finally, here's the big one right here. The United States has the largest trade deficit in the world, $1.2 trillion. Okay. And that is because we have become, that we have more imports than exports. There was a time when the United States was the leading manufacturing country in the world, along with Europe. But again, when they made this deal with China, the Nixon administration, and they duped the American people, this is when our U.S. And again, what we have to comprehend and understand is U.S. corporations function like nations. Okay? This is another thing our people don't understand. They function as nations in other countries. So when they put all these plants in China, I don't care what they tell you, they, along with China, was mass producing these products that come right back to America that you buy. So just to kind of wind this down, brother, the reason why we, and I'm good, I still have time, you know, The thing I look at when I look at the situation with our people, first of all, 97% of what we know as currency is in digital form. Now, I can already see the chess move and the game plan that they have put together for our people. And this is going to be the knockout blow for our people. Again, it is because we don't trade with each other. We hate to see one person have something over another. And these are intrinsic values in us that is destroying us. And it's going to be the final knockout blow for our people. What can we do about it? We need today for everybody under the sound of my voice to realize something. That you do not have to like another Black person to do business with them. This is what religion did to us, where we base everything on an emotionalism, okay? We have got to come out of this fall, okay? Not only are we at risk, our children are at risk. Because the first thing that's going to happen is the collapse of the real estate market, okay? We already know the numbers, okay? So when that happens, you're going to see that the mortgages you have, because me and you was talking about this one time, Lance, I think about a couple of years ago. You know, you living up on a hill, right?
Mm-hmm.
You got a mortgage, couple of cars, everything's fine. You know, you can go and take out a loan against the mortgage, get some more fiat, buy more cars, because you ain't going to get no money. If you go in there, that's why they always want to know what you're going to use it for. And you tell them you're going to use it for a business, you ain't going to get that money.
You can get it.
You're not going to get, unless it's a church or a liquor store.
Right.
So this is what they're going to do to our people. When the real estate market crash, not if, when, then the real deed holders, and I learned this in solar, that blew my mind, that because I was dealing with a friend of mine works for a title company. I ran into so many Black people that didn't know that their names was not on the title of their house. So in many cases, what happened was their parents would pass on and, you know, pass it down to them. But you still have to go to whatever city you live in, go to their city hall and transfer those documents. You have to have a death certificate for the parent, and then get your name legally put on the title. Because if you don't do that, you don't own the deed.
That's right.
So you sitting up there one day, you know, y'all watching the game, you know, you get a knock on the door. Who is it? It's Mr. Johnson from the title company. We have a deed to this land. Well, hold it, sir. I have a mortgage with the bank. Oh no, that bank is foreclosed.
Ooh.
Those deposits. I'm sorry. This is our land. The 3 acres you're living on this house. This is our land. So like what they did with the Indians with the treaties. And then you're gonna say, well, how the bank? Because the bank can't help you. See, this is what our people don't know. The bank cannot help you in that situation. It's the people. So I believe Dr. Claude Anderson said that we still own less than 0.5% of real wealth or land in this country. Bro, that is scary. Because when those people from those title companies come to Black folks, when this collapse happened, and say, you got 24 hours to pack up all your stuff, we're redeeming the land, what you gonna do? What's gonna happen to our people? Where are we gonna migrate to? Because we don't help each other. Now, we could reverse this situation, okay? But again, we spend so much time worrying about celebrities, worrying about P. Diddy, worrying about all these other people. And why is it that, I mean, these are topics that need to be discussed in so much as they affect our people, you know, but at the same time, why don't they own anything? Why is it there are no tangible things or buildings? Okay, you could have a line of liquor to keep our people drunk. Most of those so-called billionaires or multimillionaires that are black or rappers or whatever,
right?
They allow them to have a line of either liquor mainly, okay, and then, but what they don't tell you is that that does not have the same value that the people who are sponsoring them have. Okay, so again, they are making our people think that we are on solid ground. Well, look how many black millionaires there are. You know, look how many NBA players. Do you know how many jobs that are available in the NBA and the NFL? You know, this is crazy, man. And so, ask your question, why none of them have no buildings, that they haven't come together and have no buildings or rec centers with their names on it where our children can go to, like the Boys Club or the YMCA or the YWCA. Ask yourself that question, because if they try to take out any of that money, which is mainly fiat, to try to purchase any asset or land, they're not going to get it. I don't care how much they were. They'd be worth $1 billion. If they go to a bank today, and first of all, that money on that contract is like this paper right here, bro. Okay, so it's we've been duped all the way around, and I don't see, this is why I kind of lose respect for a lot of these celebrities too, because now a lot of them are in a position where they can do something about this. And, you know, they have people telling them, well, you don't have any obligation to help anybody, when this is something too. This is something that I actually like about white men. I'm going to be honest with you. Men, not just white men, Asian men, East Indian men, and Latino men. And me and you have talked about this before, Lance, about white men. They can hate each other's guts, but they know the principle when they sit down in that boardroom and they have an economic goal that's going to affect all of them. They're going to work together, especially if it means keeping you in the position you in. And they'll walk out of that boardroom and they probably won't even talk again until it's time to meet. But our people are so caught up in the emotion of which church you go to. What the hell does that have to do with anything? What church do you go to? You know, this is the kind of crazy stuff that have our people in the condition we're in. We have got to change this mentality. The other thing too, I think I heard you say this too, that if two white men are in business and one of them is screwing the other one's wife, that ain't going to affect how they do business.
That's right.
No. Now, it may affect them on some level, but they're still going to make sure their businesses run.
That's
they're
right.
still going to make sure they can pay their debts. And if they have to trade with you or do whatever. Now, eventually they might try to find somebody else, but it's going to be another white man.
That's right.
So and this is directed toward the brothers right now, okay? Because we live in a patriarchal society. I don't care how you try to. Our women judge us off of fiat, okay? This is a known fact. Black men have got to be the leading voice of this revolution, okay? We have got to put down these little boy color games, these little boy, whatever separates us. And we have got to try to come together now and put together and compound our fiat and buy buildings and set up things that can help our people. The other day up here on San Bruno, Chinese people just opened, and these people, they're not like rich. They just put their monies together. They just open a clinic, a big ass clinic. And I walked by there and I see the Chinese writing, and I saw all these Chinese people going in and out, babies, everything. I was like, damn. So they buy up all the buildings on a large strip.
Yes.
On San Bruno, when I first came to San Francisco 8 years ago, it was like maybe one Chinese grocery store there. Wasn't even one. Fast forward now, they own everything on San Bruno. There's a couple of East Indian stores, and that's it. And I'm like, wow. And everywhere you go, they have, they don't just own 2 or 3, they buy up all of the buildings. Okay, so there is I like to call them Chinatown suburbs, everywhere you go. And I can't be angry at these people, Brother Lance. I can't be angry at these people. Because now they may not have be faced with the same things that we're facing, which is true. They can go to a bank. Well, first of all, they don't have to deal with US banks. They deal with Chinese banks. And they create their own banks. There was a time when Black people had what they call co-ops. You remember that, Lance?
Yeah. Oh, yeah. Co-op city. Yeah.
Yeah. So that's what they do. They have co-ops. They may not call it that, but they have food co-ops. They have financial co-ops or whatever. And that's how they trade with each other. They ain't going to trade with you. And I don't blame them. I wouldn't either. If I was them, I wouldn't either. Because all you're going to do, if you get something, is spin it up, buying things that have no intrinsic value. Okay, you can get mad at me all you want. I'm way past you liking me. I'm way past that. We are in a serious situation, brother. And these evil people are already putting the ball into motion. Because when that 3% of fiat money that's in circulation begin to dry up, we're going to be in big trouble. That's why the average Black person now, even if you ask them to get a loan for some money, oh man, I got to wait till I get paid, or something like that. And then they damage your credit to the point, Black people's credit. And I know a lot of it has to do too with you got to pay your bills, or whatever. But at the same time, you're not going to be afforded the same advantages as other people in this economic market or financial market. So we got to start coming up, we got all these so-called intelligent people. Why don't we have a plan for Black folks to start doing something about these issues that are hundreds of years old? So that's it, brother, because I only get more frustrated when I think about our people, man, that's running around here, in these, I don't get it, man. You're wearing other people's clothes, but that make you better than the next Black person. None of these clothes have no Black person's name on it. I don't even see FUBU no more.
I know
if it still exists or not. But yeah, man, it's a situation where so even if you don't want to change, at least let the children have a chance, man. Okay, we have the right. You can. It don't matter what somebody is teaching them out here. It don't matter what they see on these devices or TV. It's what you teach them that matters. But you are teaching them the same thing that have us in the condition we're in now. I don't see other, and I watch kids. I deal with children from all cultures. I have to out here. They're always together. They're always doing things together, particularly the Chinese children, but all of them, Latino, the other East Indian children I see, they're always together doing stuff. You see our kids, it's nigga this, nigga that. They arguing with each other or something. Where does that come from? Where does that they learn this from the home they're in, from their environment. And then they bring it out into the world. So I'm way past this, man. We have got to start taking responsibility for our behavior. Now, with this blame game, yes, we are victims. But there's a difference between being a victim and having a victim mentality. Okay, there's a big difference. Okay, but it has to start with us putting down the swords, realizing, I don't care how much you want to kumbaya, that is not going to save you. And so to end with this, brother, is that we got to put down these God images that we have.
That's right.
That don't look like us, because subconsciously you're not going to fight against what you perceive as a God. I mean, that's just common sense. That's why what I have on my wall should be on every black post wall. Why the hell would you have somebody with blonde hair and blue eyes anywhere where black folks reside?
Stockholm
That makes
syndrome.
no sense. And that's not to hate anybody or put anybody down. You don't see, I tell you what, go into the home of any one of the cultures in America and see if you see a picture of Malcolm X. You might see Martin.
Right.
You might see Martin Luther King, but you're also going to see the Kennedys with him. You know that favorite picture that we used to have when we were kids, and
Yeah. That's a combo. It's a combination.
The combination they throw at you. This black man still has to have these two people to give him some kind of promise.
Yeah, exactly.
But you're not gonna walk into an Asian place, an East Indian place. Well, a lot of the Latinos, because they have, black people in their history, even though some of them don't want to acknowledge it. You might see pictures of some of our people where they live, a lot of them. But the other cultures, no, you're not going to see that. No black person in their home, no picture. Mm-hmm. You ain't even going to see that blonde haired, blue eyed Jesus in their home. Because like I said, when I was in the energy business full time and going into homes, bruh, that taught me a valuable lesson. Okay, and if you don't have like here, where Bob Marley, we are the ones that are responsible for our own legacy. That's and right. It begins with symbols and images. Okay, and so yeah, brother, with that, I think I'll close. If we can kick it a little bit.
Yes. But yeah, man. Like I said, the majority of us are not going to make it.
No.
We have sense, we know, but there's a difference between hearing and listening. Mm-hmm. It's not what you eat, it's what you digest. Mm. See what I mean? You can eat all the good food in the world, but if you don't digest it, it means nothing.
To piggyback on that, brother, excuse me for cutting you off, but to piggyback on that, sure. Even our own bodies teaches us that. That's right. It takes the food, the sugars, the proteins, the nutrients that it needs, and guess where everything else is going?
Goes right on out.
In the toilet, or wherever the hell you use it.
That's right.
So, again, nature is our greatest teacher. All we have to do is look at the natural processes that exist.
That's right.
Because once that, for real, that's why when you go to McDonald's, all of that come out.
Exactly.
Black people need to get into the toiletry business, because they're the ones that eat this garbage every day. Okay. And you go right to the bathroom. I remember one day I said, because I like fish, right? I said, You know what? Because McDonald's, they do have those bomb ass fries, bro.
Well, yeah, they're engineered to be that way.
Yeah, they are. And so one day, I don't know what it was, but I've done this experiment. I think I shared this with you guys before, where I dealing with fermentation, where I would go to different fast food places. I'll put the hamburger in a jar, the fries in a jar,
Right.
put something else in a jar, and you know, the McNuggets or whatever, and leave it in there for a week. Bro, you never won't believe what grows, that white shit that grows, then look like pus coming out the
Yeah.
hamburgers. And
Yeah.
the fries was the only thing that didn't have it. Kind of, it just got soggy, but still, it's
Right.
like I said, it's engineered, it's GMO.
But it's supposed to have formaldehyde inside of it, right? I
Yeah,
mean, they have an
yeah,
embalming fluid. If you eat the
yeah,
fries, McDonald's fries, and you really run your tongue on the roof of your mouth afterward, and
yeah,
that mucky feeling that you have,
yeah.
you know, these people are embalming themselves slowly but surely. They're
I heard
embalming them.
that. I heard
Yeah.
that.
Clogging up their systems. And then how are we going to operate on a higher spiritual vibration, a higher mental vibration, where our gut is like a whole separate entity that our body has to support. A big rot gut overtaking the delicate balance of the spine. Just like I mean, what are you going to do? Claim that to be a liability? You file your taxes and you say you don't have a child, but that gut is a dependent. That comes from you. You know what I mean? Then you got to go down, go to the bathroom, sit down, and you can read the whole Sunday paper, and you're still sitting there. And the thing is, when you leave that bathroom, you can go shopping at the mall, you can go take a walk, you can go to the beach until late, come back, and that stench is still there like a satellite within a fixed position.
Yes.
It's outside now, brother. What's going on the inside? And you wonder why you got morning breath that they can smell on the planet Mars. You see what I'm saying?
Halitosis.
For real.
Yeah.
For real.
Yeah, all that stuff coming, all that garbage you eating coming up out of here. So the story I was saying was, I said, you know what, bruh, this was about maybe 6 months ago. I said, I want me one of those filet of fish sandwiches. Fuck it, I just want one. So I didn't buy the fries, but I did buy the filet of fish. Bro, it was less than an hour later, I was on the toilet.
Wow.
I was like, damn, this is.
Remember they had back in the early 80s, up until a certain point, they had Arthur Treach's fish and chips. Remember that?
Yeah, yeah.
Arthur Treach's fish and chips. Yep. And see, these foods, remember, they are engineered chemically.
Yeah, chemically.
To appeal to you, to have you coming back. If they can take a drug and alter it, or take something natural and alter it, they do this to the food.
It's addictive.
And you get crazy over it. And long after you're full, it's not about the nutrition, but long after you packed your gut full, you craving more. I mean, I've always tried to look out for myself, but there are times when I pigged out way back in the day. Now I got the food in the back of my throat, stomach is full, like a trash compactor, and I'm reaching for more. What is that? What is that?
Right. You really didn't get no nutrition from it.
No, you didn't. That's why you keep eating. Mm-hmm. If you notice, when you get real good food and nutrition, you may not be as full, but you're fed. See, we can have a situation with most of us where we're overfed and undernourished. Why can't we be overnourished and underfed? We don't have to be stuffed. And there's some people who feel like, well, I gotta eat more. As long as you're getting proper nutrition, you don't want that anymore. And you don't want to eat what that's good food. Once you're nourished, you're good.
And
but
then they fool your taste buds.
Exactly.
Just like this, how they get you hooked on sugar and salt, because then your taste buds, it's something about what they're putting in that food that causes some type of change in your taste buds. So when you eat something real food, most people, when they eat real food, you know, I had a salad with black salmon in it yesterday, and I got full.
Right.
So when your body is full, like you're saying, from real nutrition, then you're good. I only eat twice a day now.
Right.
But when you're eating food that's no good for you, or fake food, then you're always going to be hungry. Your taste buds are going to reject real food. And this is what's happening to our children. Very seldom eat real food. And this is our fault. They very seldom eat. So when they don't like broccoli, they don't like nothing that's good for them. All they like is either McDonald's, pizza, or something sweet. Or pizza. They really love pizza.
And they don't know real taste. It's
no, they
like
don't.
Like Tracy J said, sugar, salt, and fat.
Yeah.
And we know the fats in food hold more flavor. We understand that on a natural level. But my God, what they do to those fats, and those fats, when they call them trans fats, they engineer these things, man, to be so explosive on your taste buds. You've become a culinary crackhead.
That's a good one. I'm gonna use that one again. So brother Les, what you think about what's gonna happen to black folks when this collapses?
Well, what? You ready for 2 hours? No, I'll give it to you real quick. What I'm hearing, they're gonna purposely collapse.
Yeah.
The dollar.
Well, they're gonna purposely do it.
Yeah. And what I'm hearing is that it's going to come through a cyber attack where the banks, they won't be able to take the blame because it'll appear as though it's not them. They'll be able to blame.
How so? What do you mean by that?
Well, they're behind it because they don't.
Behind it.
Right. That way, they can wipe away anything they owe.
Oh yeah, the digital.
Make it where if it is a terrorist cyber attack, so they will claim because the media will work along with it.
Yeah.
And we all believe CNN and Fox. We all believe that. And I'm saying it sarcastically, right? So now we believe this and say, oh my God, the same way when bin Laden was supposed to be the one who was orchestrating that 911 attack, but the bin Laden family, they were on a plane when the whole country was shut down out of the country, right? They had to blame him for that. He was the fall guy. So they will bring about, after a little bit of mystery, the fall guy. Because if you remember during 911, when they were so-called speculating on who did it, for a split second, the Nation of Islam's name came up as a potential person.
I remember that.
So they're going to have media confusion to have us all like blind men in the room feeling for the light switch.
Yeah, because they're trying to jam the minister up with something like that, right? Exactly.
They're trying to jam him up with Gaddafi when Gaddafi wanted to give them $2 million. So he had to register as a foreign agent. So he couldn't do that. This is stopping. So when they do this, we'll be, oh my God, who did this? Because it's going to shut the systems down. It's going to wipe everything out. And then they're going to have to implement for our protection the whole digital thing, right? And then they're going to also, because it's an internet cyber attack, force those who are on the internet to have a digital ID. So every comment, every post, everything we say will be traced to us. So they'll go back and watch LANCESCURV and it's like, you better watch what you're saying because we're going to lock you up if you insinuate something, or we're going to take you out. And that's further control over how we communicate. Unless it's through email, hopefully, but they can check that too. They can check our emails now.
Oh, yeah, they can.
And they can go on your phone now. After the Patriots Act, there's no more privacy. So all the freaky pictures we got on our phone, somebody looking at it and laughing.
Yeah, they are.
You see?
Oh, no, absolutely. And then the digital demons are, possessing them to do a lot of this evil stuff. So, I could see the cyber attack. I could see them saying, well, we had a terrorist cyber attack. All of the banks and financial institutions in the United States has failed. And right now, they are putting all of their money in offshore banks. They're planning That's what they're doing. And they're telling the American people, we're trying to make America great again, and we're gonna fight against these people and blah blah blah. No, they ain't.
That's all fun. Smoke and mirrors.
It's all smoke screen, bro. Because America, our institutions, financial institutions, have already sold us out. Now, I will give Trump credit for this. I'm not no Trump fan,
Right, I understand.
But he at least he recognized what was going on and stood up to it. Now I will give him credit for
Of
that.
course. Of
But
course.
these other folks, these Democrats, and you know, they are. If you look at the condition of black folks, we have supported them for what, 200 something years. I mean, come on, man. There's something, and again, I don't support any of the politicians. I don't care what politics they're in. I look at individuals and see what they're trying to do, or what they're, you know, people elected you to go to office, okay, to help fight for them and the things they need and their families and children and neighbors need to survive. But now here you are in this cesspool of snakes when you go there, you know, and now you're one of them.
Yes.
So I don't really put no stock in any of that for saving black folks, man. There's no political party that's going to save us. There's no financial institution that's going to save us. There's no organizations that's going to save us. The only people that's going to save us is us. But somehow, you know, we just waiting till the fucking hammer come down, and then everybody's going to be crying. Like, you know, I'm going to be fine because I can live under a tree if I have to.
I'm good.
Oh, yeah, I know you're good. You got your own mountain. You know what I'm saying? So the thing is, and this hurts me to my heart, man, to see our people in this condition and seeing what these evil people are planning and doing. And then our people don't do nothing. We just sit around, go to church every Sunday, go to Bible study on Wednesday night. Jesus ain't going to save us from this, bro. Because if he was, he would have done it a long time ago when these evil folks was hanging us in trees, killing our, raping our women and doing all of that. And if you haven't learned, okay, yet, okay, because the people that was doing it was quoting the same scriptures you quote. But if you haven't learned this by now, I don't know what to tell you. Honestly, I don't. Because, and then we looked at the billions of dollars that they have taken from our people in all these decades. You know, so it's like an eerie feeling. Like I remember seeing this movie one time where people were just sitting around waiting for something to happen. They knew it was coming. They didn't know what was coming or where it was coming from. And then all of a sudden, this goddamn fog show up, and everybody running inside this gas station because it was what was in the fog. And anytime somebody went in the fog, they didn't come back. You remember that movie? I forgot.
Yeah, I remember that. I remember that.
You know,
and that's the funny thing. Up here, up in the mountains, it's not fog. We up in the clouds.
Yeah, I know you told me that.
Every night the clouds blow through.
Boy, that's some other earthly, that's when you look otherworldly stuff.
Yeah, yeah. So when you look out the front, you look at a street light. Yeah, we in the clouds. If you go to the other side of the mountain and look over, you see how high we are. You see clouds eye level, and you see the shadow of the cloud. This is in the daytime now. The shadow of the cloud on the ground, and you look in the eye level with the clouds, and you see it raining on different parts for miles and miles. It's spotty here. You see the rain coming down over there. You see, and so when it rains up here, it don't come from up top. It does a little bit. It comes from sideways. All of a sudden, the wind starts blowing, and you see, like the blob, this big cloud coming at you, and it comes out of nowhere because we're not down on the ground. We up.
Wow.
Right? And so now you all of a sudden, you don't see nothing. You hear, ooh, ooh, ooh. And you're like, let me get going.
And you got your own iCloud, huh?
We in the clouds.
You got your own iCloud, bro.
Exactly. We in the clouds. Exactly. We ain't got to download nothing. We already uploaded. Okay. Right? But the thing is different. It's different. You can look out and see it clear. And then you can go 5 minutes later and you don't see anything. Anything. Because you're in the clouds. And the funny thing, when you have the screens, we had the windows open and the screens closed. And you look at the screen, it's like somebody took a water hose and sprayed the screen because it's the water droplets in the cloud. There's moisture up here. You see what I'm saying? Yeah. Yeah. Yeah.
Like
so I can tell you so much.
Like this, huh?
Huh? Say it again?
Remember that song, Heaven Must Be Like This. Boy. But that rain that you talking about that's coming down, that y'all looking down on,
yeah,
that in itself is some type of sign.
Yes.
You know, that you position yourself above that.
Yeah.
Because boy, when that rain started, they're talking about 40 days and 40 nights.
Man, it rained 10 hours the other day.
Wow.
I wasn't freaking out, but the way it came down, it don't come down straight. 45-degree angle at best, but it's coming sideways because you already up here. It's blowing all over the place. It's not just coming down. We in the clouds, so it's blowing everywhere.
Wow.
Hard though.
Man, you got to take I don't know if you want
I'm going to do it. I'm going to take something and show you.
Okay.
I'm going to make you see that experience. For real.
Yeah.
It's something that at first was very frightening. Very frightening. It was. But the most frightening thing, I'll say it again, I don't know if I told you about it. I'll just mention it. When the van took me past my stop and kept going.
Oh, yeah. You told me.
And I had to walk 15 miles back up the black road in the mountains with the fog, with the trees. Yeah, it took me far down. Yeah, because it was an express van.
Wow.
And I was in the back. He didn't hear me. He kept going. I was mad. It was late. I had one bar on my phone. You know what I mean? Two heavy bags of groceries. And then I had hopped on another van returning back and went up about a mile because I lost track of it because this guy was flying. I lost track of the distance. And then when I saw the sign that looked similar to where I used as a marker for where I live, I was like, here's my stop. I'm getting off.
Yeah.
And once that van moved off and the rear lights and the lights of the van moved off, man, let me tell you something. I never saw darkness like that before in my life.
Wow.
Never, because it was up in the mountains where nobody lived. There's that
pitch
part
black,
where
like pitch black.
Beyond pitch black. Beyond pitch black. The trees covering the road, no lights from nowhere.
No lights up there?
No, there's lights where people live. Yeah. But I was deep somewhere where nobody lives. For miles away. I mean, I'm walking on the road, couldn't even know where the road was.
What about the stars? What about the moon? The stars?
You couldn't see that, man, because we in the clouds thick. And the trees were covering the road. And you couldn't see nothing, man. Let me tell you something. And for about 10 minutes in that 15-mile walk, for 10 minutes, I didn't hear anything. All I heard through the whole walk, all kind of animals I never heard before.
Wow.
I'm on the narrow country road that's like, it's supposed to be 2 lanes, but it's like a lane and a half. So every now and then a car would pass by and I flag it. They see me, they were scared. They keep going.
Who is this up here in these mountains trying to flag us down?
Exactly. There were things crawling in the bushes next to me. And there were times I stepped off the road. It wasn't flat with the ground. It was like a foot or two down off the road. If you stepped off the road, your foot would go down in these bushes. You don't know what's there. We got snakes up here, pythons, king cobras. You see what I mean? And then for a second, all the sounds stopped. For about 10 minutes when I'm walking. I'm like, what is this? Am I transitioning here? Yeah, but am I transitioning here?
Right.
Look, I had some mosquito repellent, man. Oh, I had shorts on, man. I had to slap that stuff all over my legs, my head, my face, because they were coming for me. And if I sweated a little bit, they were like, the repellents, if I had a spot that I missed, they found it. They were hungry.
That's something how those mosquitoes can find the spots that's unprotected.
Exactly.
Wow.
Amazing.
Mosquitoes, that's how they operate too. The oppressors operate, they'll send out little mosquitoes, usually coons.
Yep.
They'll dig into your past and try to find something that can, bring you down. And that's another thing, man, with our people, man. We have taken on the personalities of these evil people, man, to the point where we want to find anything to condemn one of our brothers and sisters. Don't even matter what it is.
Yeah.
You
Well,
know?
that's what they do. Yeah, that's it.
They spend most of their time doing that. It's well, brother Lance, I got to get going. I know you got to prepare for another show, or
oh yeah, we're gonna do something right after. Well, about another hour and a half or something like that. But we're gonna do it. I've been working on it. You know, I'm always multitasking, so we got it going on. Yeah, definitely. And the link's not made yet, but it'll go up soon. And we're gonna freestyle for about an hour and a half, or whatever have you. You know what I mean? So it's always a pleasure, brother. Thank you so much for sharing your time and your wisdom and everything. So you know when you bring these entities out who talk their listen, you got to put them back in their place. It's a whole new day. It's a whole new day. The Johnny come latelys of history. The whole planet is Africa. What they talking about? I'm already on Africa. We can go back to Africa. You know what I mean? The whole planet is Africa.
Go back to the mountains.
Tell me your history before 6,000 years. They lied to us in school. Get out of here.
Go back to the ice fields. Go back to the Caucasus Mountains. That's a person to me that's ignorant. That has
of course.
Real history.
Of course. So, you know what I mean? So,
and brother Lance, always thank you for everything you do, brother. Keep up the great work. Like I said, I try to keep up with you with that stamina you got. But I come back. I mean, I catch the live shows.
Right.
I always make sure I catch some of the things that's going on, because one of the things that's very important with what you do is not just letting us have access to the platform, is that the issues that you are addressing, nobody else is addressing. At least I don't hear anybody else addressing them. And these are the type of issues that because our people, and you have to try to stay positive, okay? But at some point, you got to deal with reality. You can't keep living in the clouds or talking about things that's going on in the cosmos and all right now.
For real. Break it down.
Extermination.
And that's the thing. We got to be realistic in how we talk. We have to break it down. Sometimes I use humor to push the point. Sometimes we just come out and slam them right in their face with it. And sometimes, you kind of charm them in and then come with it. You know what I mean? Play possum. Because a lot of times when we sense that we're going to talk about a certain topic, we reject it, or that inner thing inside of it starts coming at people because we know where we're going with it, and they know it. They sense it, and people are in denial. They want to keep their head in the sand. I don't think I know everything, but hey, why not do something thought-provoking? A person can disagree. It's all right with me.
Yes, absolutely. And it needs to be, you have to find out where the pain spots are.
Exactly. Exactly. So we have to keep ourselves out of the comfort zone of doom. Yeah. Meaning that this place that they prepared for us, that it feels like a comfort zone, but it's not. No, so we got to pull ourselves out of that and feel that little bit of discomfort where we'll be able to think.
Yeah, exactly. Like what's ever in that fog, we need to find out what it is. Because when somebody go in it, they don't come back.
Right.
Come back from the fog.
I ain't going outside in it, just like in the foggy night when that girl came 2 o'clock in the morning by my window and it was foggy. Yeah, man, that was spooked out stuff. I wasn't opening that door. Nah. I told that story later. I told it before, but I'll tell it to you again. But I know you got to go, brother. So, yeah, definitely, man. There's a lot of stuff going on out here on a spiritual level. And don't think everybody that walks past you in the street is somebody real. You never know.
Yes, that's true.
All kinds of manifestations out here. You know what I mean? And the people who are, what kind of charge do they have in their spirit with the Colgate smile? You dropping your guard and letting them on in your life, right?
Absolutely.
Because a lot of times,
the thing is we can people like you and me and in the chat room, we can pick this up before they even get near us. We pick up that energy.
That's right.
And so no matter how they smile or whatever, we can pick up that energy. And so we know what's really going on.
That's right. And
so it disarms them because they also know that we can feel that energy.
That's right.
It goes both ways.
That's
but
right.
Anyway, brother, I better get out of here.
Yes, yes, I know, brother. Thank you so much once again.
Yes,
Thank
sir.
you so
Peace
much.
and love to you, Brother Lance.
Always, always, my brother. Thank you so much. Thank you so much. Yes, indeed. The link for the other show is not made yet. We're going to make it. Don't know when it's going to go out, but it's going to go out before the next 2 hours. And I may not stay on there for a long time. I may give a little hour or something, but we're going to be funny. We're going to have fun, and it's going to be humorous. I might drop a few words. It will be what it is, and it's going to be something that we can enjoy, but make us think. You know, sometimes when you attack these subjects, you kind of want to say to yourself, well, I attacked it this way. Well, how do I attack it a different way? You know, we just go free flow, you know, and just tell it like it is. And people will get insulted. They will get upset, but they have to sometimes. You have to get pulled out of your comfort zone, because really your comfort zone is not a place that you want to be all the time, right? You want to feel the cold outside. You want to feel the heat outside before you go into your comfortable home symbolically. And that's what I mean. It's a symbolic thing. You know what I mean? So if we can be pulled out of our comfort zone in a conversation, that's not going to hurt us like it will being ignorant to something that we should have talked about and been prepared for. You see what I mean? But anyway, let me wrap this up, and we're going to come back, and I'm going to play my little song here for those who came in to rabble rouse. So get a little dose of this. We know the song all the time, but they need to hear it. Much love to you all. We'll be back soon tonight. Peace. Peace.
Why are we called Negroes? Why are we deaf, dumb, and blind? Why is everybody making progress, yet we seem to be lagging so far behind? Why are we mistreated? Why are we in this condition, stripped of our name, our language, our culture, our God, and our religion? Here in America, all of our religious training has been gotten by the preacher. He has told us of a heaven way up in the sky that we can't enjoy now, but rather after we die. But all of the years that we're living, for us there's nothing but hell, pain, torture, and misgiving. Yet the Bible speaks of a heaven filled with material luxury, which the white man and the preacher has right here, so we see. So my friend, take it for what it's worth. Your heaven and your hell is right here on this earth. So let's check back into history, which rewards all research and tells us plainly that before the white man gained entry to the East, he was living in the caves of Europe, a ravenous beast, eating juniper roots and eating flesh raw, till God sent Moses to civilize him and teach him the law. Then, following Marco Polo, an explorer, he gained entry into Asia and Africa. From China, he took silk and gunpowder. From India, he took jute, manganese, and rubber. He raped Africa of her diamonds and her gold. From the Mideast, he took barrels of oil untold, raping, robbing, and murdering everything in his path. The whole black world has tasted of the white man's wrath. So, my friend, it's not hard to tell. A white man's heaven is a black man's hell. America, we were living in the East. By the Nile River, we were living in luxury, enjoying freedom, justice, and equality. We wore silken robes and slippers of gold. We were the wealthiest and the wisest people, I'm told. Now we are the poorest of the poor. Nobody wants us at their door. So my friend, it's easy to tell. White man heaven is black man hell. When the white man came to America, he told the Indian, I am your white brother. He said, red man, I'll treat you the best. Yet and still he pushed the Indian further west with his white woman and fire water. Tricks and lies, he stole America. The original owner of this nation is cooped up on a reservation. So my friend, it's easy to tell. White man heaven, black man hell. He needed someone to work the land. His back was too weak. He needed you, black man, so he commissioned Sir John Hawkins to commit the world's most grievous sin, to take a man who's born to be free and bring him down to slavery, to sell a man as merchandise, on his body put a price. Oh, my friend, it's easy to tell. White man heaven is a black man hell.
show you the next banner for the next show we're doing. I'm gonna show you the banner so you know what's up. Our next show. You don't want to miss our next show. It will be tonight. I can't give you an exact time. I got a few things I got to do, but that's the next show we're going to do. We're going to have fun. We're going to go in. No holds barred. Maybe a little spicy language and some real stories told. You don't want to miss it. All right? Much love.